You don't know the world you're living in.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome again, as always. I am a gadfly, sent by God to arouse you Athenian men from your slumber into an examined life. Let's get into it. If I said that I have something for you to eat that is all natural, organic, non-GMO, made with no artificial preservatives, no artificial sweeteners, no dairy, no soy, no added sugars, that it's a great source of iron, part of a balanced diet, gluten-free, vegan, fair trade, incredible, edible, never frozen, low calorie, low carb, low fat, farm fresh, local, and 4 out of 5 doctors recommend it, would you think that I have found the holy grail of superfoods? It's hard to think otherwise, especially if I put these words on packages, because I could get sued for lying, right? Well, none of those things are a lie, but the superfood I recommended is a rusty nail. The reason I can say all of these things about a rusty nail I might have just ripped out of my bookcase is because almost none of those words actually mean anything. USDA certified organic means something, but small o, adjective organic, means absolutely nothing. Also, most of those terms are sufficiently vague that you can't argue against them, like local or farm fresh. Technically speaking, if I drive 95 miles to the nearest farm, rip out a rusty nail from an old wheelbarrow, I can say that it came fresh from the local farm. Likewise, the majority of those phrases don't even apply to a rusty nail, like the quantity of dairy or soy or sugars, added or not. So adding them into the terminology to simply negate them is technically true, but totally irrelevant. And if I ask my doctor after he's done giving me a prostate exam, what he thinks I should use to reattach my mailbox to the post it fell off of, I can technically say that my doctor recommends a nail. But I don't need to put on the package what task he recommends it for. I let the consumer make that inference. That's really the key to a lot of deceptive marketing. Clever use of language that allows the reader, in this case the customer, to associate those words with whatever he wants. If I say a word and you associate it with something, I can't be held responsible for where your mind makes associations. I think this insight into what we say versus what we mean can help a lot with many philosophical problems. For example, one of the famous Gettier problems asks us to consider a man who looks into a field, vast with rolling hills and covering much land. Far off in the distance, this man sees what is, biologically speaking, a dog. But he thinks it's a sheep, and so he declares, "There is a sheep in the field." Yet, because of the rolling hills which obscure his vision, unbeknownst to him, there actually is a sheep behind one of those hills. So technically speaking, his statement that there's a sheep in the field is true, and he's justified in believing it because he saw the distant dog and believes it to be a sheep. This is supposed to shed doubt on knowledge being true, justified belief. However, although he believed there's a sheep in the field, his conceptual framework did not likely include all patches of grass that could be considered the given field. He meant that there was a sheep in the specific location at which he looked. In this case, he's wrong, and he doesn't have knowledge under the true justified belief framework. Now, I personally think that the justified true belief definition of knowledge has a lot of problems, but I don't think Gettier cases really get to the heart of what that problem is. Most of these cases fail because the language is not any clearer than something like "in the field," which unfairly includes all areas in continuity with those previously accepted as a field. If, suppose, this man opted for an extremely precise location, such as the exact latitudinal and longitudinal coordinates of the dog, then he would clearly be wrong to declare it a sheep. All Gettier cases demonstrate is that the more broad and ambiguous the term used, the more truth it might encompass. Now, these several introductory examples illustrate that the majority of people aren't very critical about what they read or see or are told. Many people assume that because they have an understanding of what something means, that everybody has the same meaning of that term. This is true of terms like "in the field" or "all natural," but it's also true of things like freedom, patriotism, God, justice, love, and so many others. We see in the first example that sometimes people can deceptively be ambiguous to make things cloudy. And we might accuse marketers of doing that, or politicians and the media. But the project of Socrates was in part to demonstrate that many people are not being deceptive, but simply being ignorant in using certain words. It's the ancient Greek question, Esti, what is it, that Socrates always asked his interlocutors about their operative terms, and so should we. More often than not, his interlocutors did not know, nor do we. Most people speak like in the field or low calorie, but we should develop the habit of identifying the operative words in a claim and finding out if the person making that claim has the same understanding as us on that term. Not merely assuming they do, because obviously they do. What else could they be? You would be surprised what people think when they have to. Thank you as always for checking out the newest episode. I'd love to hear your comments and responses down in the comments section below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be coming out with a new episode at the same time next week.
They were men seen, either that or everyone else's.